and thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. Sorry I couldn't be with you, but as you've probably noticed, there's quite a lot of things going on these days. Let me start by quoting one of the thought leaders on Twitter. He has this sentence on top of his profile. It says, "And they said electricity was boring." Now, in all my years in energy, in climate, and electricity, there's been ups and downs, but it has never been boring. So I can very much support that sentence. It's certainly not boring these days either. I think it's true to say now as ever before that we live in the best of times and the worst of times. We live in the worst of times because we're seeing a horrifying war unfold on the European continent, the like of which we haven't seen for decades. The brutality, the destruction is just beyond belief. We live in the worst of times because not only are we witnessing a real onslaught, an unacceptable aggression between one of our fellow European countries, also because our inability to act has been exposed, because essentially we have an undue dependence on the energy products of Russia. We live in the worst of times because the knock-on effects for European markets, energy systems, has been significant, harming consumers, raising prices to levels that are very, very difficult to stomach. We live in the worst of times because some governments across Europe have taken very, very unhelpful measures to try to avert these price impacts, but in a way where they're basically on the road to destroying investor confidence. We also live in the best of times in the sense that never before has our resolve to wean ourselves off fossil fuels been stronger. Never before has it been more clear that electricity is the answer to many of our energy questions. Now, given the situation, given the dire situation, what we need to do is to basically make sure that we stay the course in the next critical months. And what does that mean? It means making sure that we continue to explore a competitive-based approach to the green energy transition, that we continue to deepen our European energy market system, while at the same time taking the necessary short-term measures to protect customers. We've seen governments basically divert into very, very damaging clawbacks, divert into retail price caps that are going to be detrimental for the economic health of companies, and ultimately risking to destroy otherwise healthy European electricity companies. We need to avoid that at all costs and make sure that investor confidence these days are stronger than ever in electricity. Why? Well, because what we need to do in the medium and long term to wean ourselves off fossil fuels is to invest and broaden out our electricity system. Now, what's also clear is that in the short term, something may have to happen. It is unsustainable for European customers to suffer the manipulations of Putin to our energy products and energy prices. So what is it we can do here and now while guarding the principles of markets and competition in the long term, while making sure that we continue to invest? Here and now, what we need to do is to address the current crisis at its root causes. And what is the root cause of this crisis? It's the gas. We are living through a difficult time where essentially the gas exports to Europe are being manipulated. Putin made a conscious choice to empty out the storages that he controls here in Europe, adding to the price pressure that we're experiencing these days. So what we need to do in the short term is to slash demand for gas wherever possible, and to explore how best to implement a price cap on gas prices at the wholesale level. That way, we're addressing the root causes rather than the downstream impacts of this crisis. That way, we are looking to the problem rather than punishing the solution. So that's the Eurelectric take on how to stay the course, how to deal with this crisis here and now, keep focus on the long term, take the necessary measures in the short term. And whereas these times are definitely the worst of times, there's also a silver lining to the situation. And what I can say is that no matter what, these times and the coming months will certainly not be boring. So I hope with that, I have helped to stimulate some debate, and I hope you'll have a great conference. Thank you very much.